Welcome back to KUTV Rise Today. Good morning to you. Tell us where you're tuning in from this 23rd of May 2023, another Tuesday for us to be here interacting on matters of business, the economy, and as well as politics, and a bit of technology if you do have time for that. But if you're not aware, this is Biashara Tuesday. Use the hashtag Biashara Tuesday on all social platforms and interact with us also on the SMS/WhatsApp numbers. We'll be able to see your feedback as well so that we are interacting. It is a fully interactive show all the way to 10 in the morning. We'll be streaming live on YouTube. So if you search KUTV Kenya there, if you're heading out away from your TV sets, you will be able to follow through and see what kind of conversations are happening here this morning. Top of business, more costs for businesses. All businesses registered in Kenya are set to part with at least 50,000 Kenyan shillings if this proposal that I see here by Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria that is going to be presented before Cabinet in the next 30 days comes into effect. So this is effectively a proposal to make sure that all businesses in Kenya have mandatory registration with the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Registration fee there, annual fee, range from 50,000 for enterprises and up to 5 million for patrons. So more pain for businesses into the future, and we'll be looking at this. And the argument by the CS is that we're trying to streamline the local market and also ensure that we're expanding linkages with international markets. How a business is going to react or even to adapt to this in case it passes as something mandatory and required, considering the kind of economic situation that they are currently facing within the Republic. On the other end, the Kenya Revenue Authority is now facing budget cuts as now this next allocation in the next financial year, according to the budget, KRA has received an allocation of only 23 billion Kenyan shillings, and it's objecting, saying that it needs around 57.4 billion shillings to meet the target of collecting at least those 3.6 trillion shillings that are needed for in taxes for the next financial year's budget. At the same time, they're trying to rebrand KRA, and this is going to cost taxpayers 2.7 billion in the estimated presentations that are there before the National Assembly. This is actually something new, because this is a process that started way back in 2021-2022 financial year, and in the next year they're proposing for an allocation of 250 million in a rebranding that is going to take 6 years in 2 phases. This rebranding project started in 2021 and it's going to cost taxpayers 2.7 billion. This is happening as even the government slashes that budget to KRA. Does this mean that we are going to have more taxes for it to raise up to that 3.6 trillion and also to ensure the restructuring? Those are the kind of conversations that we are going to have here this morning as we look at more on businesses. Someone else who is experiencing this budget cut, another entity which I think deservedly is experiencing a budget cut in the next financial year, is the Kenya Airways, which is KQ. Treasury CS here is seen saying that they have cut funding for KQ, which received a substantial bailout in the last and previous and current budgets. And for the next financial year, there's that going to be a budget cut. We'll be seeing at what kind of budget cut is going to be experienced over there and what will be operations looking like in this loss-making machine that has been Kenya Airways. Another one who's experiencing cuts, but not necessarily budget cuts, is the Jubilee Party. As you are aware, or if you've been following up on the political progress in the Republic and the political parties, the Jubilee Party has expelled several party members, including Sabina Chege, Kanini Kega, Nelson Zuya, Jimmy Angwenyi here. I see Naomi Shaban, Joshua Kutun, Mutava Musimi, and Rachel Nyamai. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta hosted the NDC for the Jubilee Party at the Ngong Racecourse yesterday in Nairobi, and he appointed, or effectively now replacing Mr. Zuya, is going to be Saitoti Torome, who was appointed the new national chairman, and Pauline Njoroge HSC appointed as the deputy organizing secretary. Those political stories and much more of the developments will be there in the news updates that come to you every single day here this morning on KUTV Rise Today. So you will be tuning tuning in for that. But there are going to be other conversations happening. We have invited here a couple of guests for us. This being May, the month of mental health awareness, we are having a conversation on something they're calling the Siamese twins. And this is the linkage between mental illness and substance use disorders. Addressing the stigma is a conversation that has been here in Kenyatta University since the 16th of May, and there's a walk and talk forum happening. I'll be giving you much more of those details, but I'll be having my guests here on the show to tell us about the work that happened last week on Friday, and also what other activities you can get to participate in. We're trying to create awareness on mental health and the associated risks, creating awareness about the relationship between mental health and substance abuse, and even including gambling. How does that relate to all those issues that I've already highlighted? Our guests of the day will be here, so if you have any questions, please do send them through to us. I'll forward them and also get to hear what their thoughts are as experts in this kind of field. I'll give you details on who they are in a bit when they do join me, actually. Another conversation happening here is the application to university that is through the portal that is CUSPS, and I'm going to have this with the president of the TVET Association of Students in Kenya, that is Kimani Wachira. He's been on the show before, and he's coming here for another time to give us that kind of information. How do you calculate those payments for various courses? Career talk, what you should consider before you even select your career path as a student who's looking to join college anytime soon. So currently happening in Kenyatta University is the Form 4 Leavers Career Week. That information is also coming to you in a short while. But welcome to Biashara Tuesday. Do tell us where you're tuning in from, who you like to shout out to, who you like to inform more about the show, and anything else that you'd like to see. We'd love to interact with you all the way to 10 in the morning. Right about now, just going to take a look at what is happening on the roads as it's custom, so that we are aware before we head out to business or work. You have to know the alternative routes where you can expect traffic, and then we're having that conversation on mental health awareness. So don't go too far. I'll be right back. My name is Richard OKENYE. I'm your host for the day. Welcome to the show. All right, Thika Road traffic starts all the way from Allsops. If you're heading out to town, it is not looking good for you, but alternative routes will be also availed. So if you're out there, tell us how the situation is like, and also what you think people should use. Traffic is moving slowly from Utalii towards Muthaiga on the highway from 6 in the morning, but it's a blessed Tuesday either way. That says Fred Ngosia on Twitter. Eastern Bypass, Outer Ring Road, all these roads as you head towards Cabanas, Leo, Kitawaramba, that's Odido Owen on Twitter there. Kisii welding at a petrol station. A very interesting video here. I'm retweeting on the timeline that you can check out. There's welding happening at a petrol station. I don't know why that's traffic update, but NTS 444, so it fits to inform us of that. Eastern Bypass near Taj Mall, what's happening there? People have been stuck for like 20 minutes. This is information from 30 minutes ago, so if you have any new updates, do inform us of that. Mombasa Road, kumeshikana pia, as always, try the expressway. Cars being diverted to use service lane near Kabansora as you head towards Taj Mall. Reasons, I don't know why. So that's the update still on that situation over at Taj Mall. Rain experienced this morning in some parts of Nairobi, so head out carefully in the morning. There was rain in the areas of Kiambu Road, and if you are in any other part that's still experiencing that, we'd love to know. Langata Road, it's clear this morning, luckily, so if you're heading out town, something good for you there. But if you're heading back to Thika from Nairobi, Thika Road is clear this way, but if you're heading to town, as you've heard there from Allsops all the way to town, doesn't look good. NTSA, I've sent you details of my vehicles a week ago. Any news? That's another Kenyan complaining of, I think, something they are trying to follow up with NTSA. Those are the updates I'm getting here. Dear Kura Roads, we already have enough bumps on Northern Bypass. Hapo Githogoro, you have added 5 new bumps plus the existing other ones. We complain more and you erect more bumps. So that's the situation over at the Northern Bypass. Nairobi roads have been turned into parking lots and picking points by PSVs. Example is Landis Road, and it's usually chaotic and regular traffic snarl-up, which is experienced there, including this morning at Jogoo Road. Matatus are picking passengers by the roadside. Those are the updates: Jogoo Road, Langata Road, Mombasa Road, and Thika Road. Any other outside of Nairobi, current traffic and transport conditions, inform us, and we'll be updating you as we go on with the show. That conversation on mental health awareness is coming to you. Don't go far. All right, still on Biashara Tuesday, use the hashtag Biashara Tuesday. Rise today on YouTube, KUTV Kenya Live, where we're streaming. You'll be able to find us, but also on your television sets. Send us a message, and we would love to interact with you. Why do people gamble? And what are the effects of gambling addiction? This morning I'm speaking with Dr. Fabio Ogachi and also Dr. John Oteyo. We're having a conversation on contemporary issues in mental health. They've been having this this month, remember May being the Mental Health Awareness Month. They've been having a conversation, and the theme is mental illness and substance use disorder, the Siamese twins. How do we create awareness on mental health and the associated risks such as gambling and also substance abuse? What is mental health awareness all about, and what exactly is happening within the institutions that this gentleman I'll be speaking with are doing towards this? They already did a walk last week on Friday towards this. What other activities can you take part in even as we continue raising that mental health awareness all the way towards the end of the month? So as I said there, Dr. John Oteyo is here with me already, and Dr. Fabio Ogachi, and we are going to have that conversation. So don't go too far. They are from the Department of Psychology within Kenyatta University. One of them, of course, a researcher here in gambling, and also that conversation will be also centering around substance abuse as well. So don't go far. Any questions that you have, we'll be forwarding them to my guests here. But as the world marks the Global Mental Health Awareness Month in May, Kenyatta University Department of Psychology, in partnership with various organizations, has organized that Mental Awareness Week in efforts to enhance awareness on matters of mental health. The launch of the program was officiated by the Kenyatta University Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, yesterday.
In honor of the Mental Health Awareness Month, Kenyatta University, through various collaborating departments, has planned a range of activities to raise awareness on matters mental health by facilitating an awareness week set to benefit the local community and the university fraternity. The commencement of the Awareness Week was officiated by the university's Vice Chancellor, Professor Paul K. Wainaina, earlier today, as participants took part in the awareness walk organized within the university. Speaking after the walk, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor Academics, Professor Washeke Wanjohi, who was speaking on behalf of the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Paul Wainaina, said that there was a need for individuals to seek self-care or support loved ones in seeking professional help without stigmatization.
A publication by the United Nations Office on Drug Use and Crime indicates that adults with mental disorders are more likely than those without mental health to have substance use disorder and vice versa. It is against this backdrop that we suggest that the Kenyatta University theme becomes mental illness and substance use disorder, the Siamese twins.
Susan Maua, who was speaking on behalf of the NACADA acting CEO John Muteti, noted that mental illness and substance abuse are indeed inseparable, as substance abuse can trigger mental illness and mental illnesses can also trigger substance abuse. By organizing the activities, Kenyatta University and its partners aim to encourage open dialogue, provide education and support, and ultimately create a society where individuals facing mental health and substance use disorders can seek help without stigmatization. Yvonne Kemuma, KU TV.
Alcohol use gives you have a 2.3 times higher chance of developing a depressive use disorder. So as we talk about mental illness, it means that we are going to have more and more people getting into mental illness because of substance use.
All right, so that was actually launched last week on Friday when the walk did happen, and we're continuing the conversation here on Biashara Tuesday. The conversation that we're having around mental health awareness is the psychology of cults as well as gambling. What happens before someone gets into a gambling addiction, but as well, what happens before someone gets into a cult, and how do you realize that you're in a cult? I think we were here 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago with Kimani Washira discussing the developments in Shaka Hall and also trying to relate them to other developments historically, as well as maybe looking into the future. How do you find yourself in a cult? How do you realize you're in a cult? And how do you get yourself out of a cult? What is it? What are these psychological techniques which are being used to recruit and lure members into some of these cultic organizations? Could you be in one and you're not aware? Could you be having a gambling addiction and you're not aware of it? And how do you get yourself out of it? What is the psychology behind it? Those are the topics that we are going to highlight here this morning with the guests from the psychology department here at Kenyatta University. With me on set this morning is Dr. John Oteyo, PhD, Counseling Psychology, a lecturer in the psychology department at Kenyatta University, and Dr. Fabio Oganchi is a lecturer, Department of Psychology as well, and a researcher in gambling, contemporary issues in mental health. Let me just welcome them to the show, and then we can get into the conversations right away. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
I'm happy to have you here on set to have a very important discussion. But before we get into all the details and the questions that we already have, just introduce yourself to our viewers there as psychologists, and also maybe what has happened since last week on Friday, and then we can get into the conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. OKENYE. My name is John Samson Oteyo, a member of the Department of Psychology. I'm a lecturer there. I'm a specialist in addiction counseling. I'm an international certified practitioner. I'm also a trainer of trainers in motivational interviewing. I'm also a consultant within KU. Currently, I'm a psychology expert with the Kenyatta University Women Empowerment Hub. I'm a consultant with other organizations like the African Women Development Network and the Vista Foundation, especially on reproductive literacy and the mental health of women.
All right.
Yes. As by the question, what has been happening, the Mental Health Awareness Month, which began in May, to give a brief history, this began in 1949 in the United States of America, based on the hygiene movement that began with Clifford Pears. Clifford Pears was a mental patient. Those days, they could be mistreated, they could be chained to the bed, and when he became well, he began a mental hygiene movement. And that mental hygiene movement, it took some time, but in 1949 it was observed for the first time. So usually in the month of May, we observe the mental health awareness with the green color, which is a symbol of rebirth, trying to encourage people who have been mentally ill to have a new beginning and to be supported, and especially addressing the stigma that is associated with mental health, especially looking at the kind of words that we use with people with mental illness. Yeah, in Kenyatta University, we have been observing this, but this time we did it in a slightly different way by having a range of activities that we've been doing, beginning from the clinics that we have been having, working closely with the Director of Awareness and the Director of Health Services in organizing clinics that is targeting people who are mentally ill and even the other populations to come and know more about their mental well-being.
Right.
Then we had a walk on Friday, which was graced by our Vice Chancellor. And after that, we had a keynote address.
Right.
And then during this week, we have many activities that are arranged. For example, the outreach programs for the school within Kenyatta University and our neighboring school, Kiwanja Secondary School. And there are also clinics that are going on. And on Thursday, we'll have the round of the support groups. Being that sometimes people with a mental illness or people who have issues related with the mental well-being, they are treated, and after that, nobody knows where they go. So we are looking at, like, when we have the support groups, we'll be able to make a forum and they support each other as they are in their channel of recovery.
All right.
Yeah, and then we'll have a webinar that is to capture the people outside Kenyatta University to be able to listen to some of these issues that we are talking about.
Okay. We'll get into the in-depth details of what the activities which are lined up are going to be all about. But let me also introduce Dr. Fabio here. Welcome to the show. Please introduce us to yourself and also why gambling? That's actually something I have on a personal level. Why did you choose to research on gambling?
All right, thank you. So my name is Fabio Gachi. I'm also a lecturer in the Department of Ecology. I've been involved in gambling research for the past 5 years or so, and it's an emerging issue, that has come up in the last decade or so, especially among young people. So I got interested in researching about gambling after interacting with young people, and even myself interacting with some of the gambling, apps and services that are out there. So one of the key issues is that since the onset of online gambling, sports betting especially, there has been an exponential increase in terms of the uptake of the number of people who have taken up to gambling, and the harms associated with it and the effects associated with it are something that are worth researching about and understanding.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that is an important discussion that we need to have, especially because the most affected are the youth, still with cults, and as well as on gambling. But let's get back to you and get to hear about culticism. First of all, what was your reaction in the recent developments in the coastal region, which I think are still, investigations are still ongoing?
My first reaction was most of the time people think that there are specific people who can be victims to the cults, but I can tell you anybody, if you are exposed to the cult leadership, you can easily be lured to the cult and be a member, because you'll find that the cults, especially their beliefs and doctrines, are so attractive and appealing to any human being. So to me, especially, I want to inform Kenyans that we need to look at the Sakaola victims to be like us. They are our brothers and sisters, and anybody, if you're exposed to such experiences, you can easily become a victim. So maybe if you can allow me, I can tell you the process somebody you go through until you just find yourself you're already a victim and you are unable to come out of it.
Right. I understand there are psychological techniques which are...
There are psychological techniques, and there's a process that somebody goes through. We're calling it a process because it needs considerable time, and there's like there are stages. The first one, we can call it the pre-recruitment stage. It means each one of us, either we hear about the doctrines, the teachings of these cults, either from a friend, from a family member, or from some mass media, especially the good things that they have done, especially the euphoric promises that they give. And you find that people, there are situations you find yourself that makes you vulnerable to this. Either you could be suffering from a terminal illness, and there's a euphoric promise that if you join this group, you are going to get spiritual healing. It could be you are struggling with financial instability, and you are promised that if you join this group, you get freedom, financial freedom and stability. It could be you are having low self-esteem because of one reason or another. Then this group gives you some hope. So at that stage, you are getting news about what is happening. For example, young people are looking for jobs. For example, you've made several applications and things are not happening. Then you are told, could it be there's something that is happening in your life, and if you join here, you are prayed for, you are going to get a breakthrough. In fact, the common word that is used is like, you get your nyota, you get something better. That is the pre-recruitment stage. So appealing.
Right.
And when you watch the way the members are handled, there's a lot of love pumping, praise, flattery, and all that. And the human beings, we need comfort. Human beings, we need happiness. Human beings, we need good things. That is the first stage. Then once you are appealed and you have been rooted to it, you move to the next stage, and that is the loss of self-identity. Now, you become a new member. They will shower you with praises. They will shower you with a lot of love, with a lot of acceptance. And I'm looking at somebody who has been mentally healed with a lot of stigma, somebody who has been having terminal illness, somebody, for example, is coming from a broken family, and for the first time you are getting a lot of love from your surrogate family. So you feel good, you feel comfortable, and now that is the beginning. Now they begin brainwashing you in the process of losing your self-identity, your Kenyanness now. They will make you now to belong to this group. They will begin making you to have some kind of groupthink, such that is like whatever is being said is what you go for the purpose of your spiritual awakening, then what conscious as an individual person you can willingly make a decision about. So you will begin having some groupthink. And that happens by the brainwash that they do to you. Is like you've been living a bad life. We're introducing you to a new life, a life of spiritual awakening. Then we go to the third stage, that is indoctrination. They begin giving you new teaching about themselves. They reveal it to you like they're the ones who have the real truth the revelation, they are the luminants now who have their leader have a direct connection with a deity or with God. So then they begin telling you their shared beliefs, their shared doctrines. And this happens because already you have lost your identity, your self-identity. Now you are willing to receive whatever they are teaching you. Then this leads to the last stage, which we are calling having unquestionable obedience to the leadership. And you find much of this leadership, they are charismatic, they are persuasive, they are very manipulative, and to some extent, they are very coercive. Such that if, for example, you don't observe what they are telling you now that you have become a member, they will look for a way of either punishing you or making you to look bad or by public shame. So they want to make you tall. So basically, those are the stages. We're talking about the recruitment, a stage where you're losing your identity, brainwashing you, or that you have been having the values that you stand for. Then after that, you are empty. They will introduce their indoctrines and their teachings. Then from there, you have unquestionable obedience. Because if you look at those people, as a whole human being, I want to give you an example of that hostess that became a victim of Shakahora. That lady had just lost a child, vulnerable, and whatever exposure maybe got from a family or a friend that there's a group here that is likely to give you hope, or even if sometimes they reveal to you why you lost the child and how better now you can have a good life. So obviously, you can ask yourself, how lost Tess with all this exposure, how can she become a victim? But remember, she was vulnerable. She has lost a child. She was grieving. So that vulnerability now makes her too easily to be recruited, introduced to losing the identity. Then they are indoctrinated, for example, that for you to improve your spiritual awakening and direct connection with God, you need to starve yourself to death. You see, which is a basic human need. And then you see they are obeying whatever they are being told without questioning.
Without question, right.
Basically, that's the process.
We're going to get to the correlation between mental health and joining a cult, how that affects a person's mental health, and also maybe if someone already has, someone's mental health is already affected, does that lead them to joining a cult? But let me get to Dr. Fabio in the meantime on gambling, and maybe let us know, is it mental health problem that leads someone to gambling, or will gambling be the one that leads someone to mental health issues?
Okay, we've been having conversations about the Siamese twins, and largely, if you look at gambling, one of the key reasons people gamble is to make money.
Right.
Generally, if ideally gambling is, if you ask the gambling companies, they tell you that gambling is a recreation activity. But if you ask people who gamble, they'll tell you that they gamble to make money. Now, part of the reason why they gamble to make money is because of the narrative we have in our society, based on either the advertisements and even the culture in which we are living in, about how to make money. So generally, if you look at the adverts and the narrative around gambling, is that there's a promise for quick riches. There's a kind of a shortcut to, making a lot of money just by, placing a certain amount of money. So then as a person gets into gambling, initially the person gets into gambling, more or less innocently. He puts in some 20 bob, he maybe wins some 100 shillings or 200. Then he realizes, wow, seems there's something here. But as the person continues now, because at some point he won, the person now gets that hope. The person gets that expectation that if I continue doing this, I am going to make more money. So then the person now sinks deeper into the addiction.
Right.
So now the person now becomes addicted to gambling. So when the person is addicted to gambling, it means that his money, the money that is meant for food, the money that is meant for rent, and even the basic other expenses, is now being diverted
towards
gambling. You start realizing that now even his relationships are being affected. His productivity is being affected because of the addiction to gambling.
Right.
So part of it, for example, would say today, if you've placed a bet and you're expecting $1 million and we're having this interview, you can be sure that your mind is
mind won't be here.
Yeah, it won't be here.
I'm just checking.
You're checking.
Right.
So that means your productivity is going to be affected.
Right.
And some of this, the way they're designed, people sometimes gamble for games that go over 2 weeks. For example, for the jackpot and the big wins. So you realize that during that period, the individual is constantly thinking about a certain outcome of a certain game. So meaning now this person is going to develop what we call anxiety disorders. He's having anxiety. The game is being played, sometimes the people bet even games in Kazakhstan or Japan or wherever.
Yeah.
So you find that the game is being played maybe at 2 in the morning.
Right.
So he has to be awake, to see the outcome of the game. So then this happens, relationships are now affected. People are now, you had stories of people betting their school fees, people betting their, rent, and then it goes on until now at some point the person actually sinks deeper into financial problems. Remember, we also have the financial apps that you get
that provide
quick money.
you a loan.
Yes, you
so
get
it's kind
loan.
of a cycle.
Yes.
You borrow here, you put it into
put
gambling.
it here, you expect it. We have even stories of people, who are really depending because of now dependence, the person gets to a level where he's actually depending to pay his school fees or rent on an outcome of a certain game.
Yeah.
So his future or his livelihood is on Messi's hands, or is on Arsenal winning. So you realize that this person really is living in a state where he has no control over his life. Okay. So this will lead now to issues to do with suicide, because at some point, if you've sold all your property, you've wasted all your money, then you realize all of a sudden you have nothing, you are so much in debt, you've lost your job, maybe you haven't finished your education, the goals you had you haven't really reached, then that's where you get into issues of suicide, you get issues of depression, you get other addictions and such.
All right. Getting back to you, Dr. John, now, I had asked there the correlation between cults and mental health. How can involvement in a cult affect someone's mental health?
Yeah, thank you so much. Before I can even go to the cult area, I just wanted to comment something about gambling.
Right.
And all these. I wanted to mention to the viewers that gambling and this aspect of cults is an example of non-chemical addictions. Like yesterday, Dr. Beatrice and Ongeja, they were talking more about substance addictions or chemical addictions, where you introduce a substance or a body to the body that captures or affects the brain, and that leads to dependency. That is exactly what happens with these non-chemical behaviors, like gambling or engagement in the courts, because they behave the same way. What happens when you take a substance or you engage yourself in this non-chemical behavior is there's part of the brain that we call the reward part of the brain, which releases the neurotransmitters, for example, dopamine. Dopamine is a pressure chemical that every time we fulfill certain biological drives, like you are hungry, you eat, you feel okay, that is released for the purpose of life sustaining. That is the same thing that happens when you engage in gambling, because when you gamble, there's a reward you are expecting. Like you are going to win in this bet, then that is registered in part of the brain we call the amygdala. So every time you remember about the gains you got by engaging yourself in the gambling, the more you want to engage in that behavior because you want to benefit. The same thing that happens with the cults. Here is a case, somebody who has been suffering from mental illness or terminal illness. You are having been struggling in your financial problems, or you do not have a job, but you are given a euphoric promise. And sometimes you have even seen a few members of the courts doing very well. So you are also looking at my particular point in time, I will get my nyota. So you find yourself now, you've been captured. Basically, chemical and non-chemical addictions, they are brain conditions.
Right.
You find that your brain has been affected. Now, I want to go to how now the cards affect the mental health.
Right.
You find that, as I said, the cards are very appealing. Their leaders are very charismatic and very persuasive. So you find it through their mega communication and chants, sensory overload on yourself. You find that you lose yourself. In other words, they capture part of the brain we call the forebrain that is involved in judgment. So you find that you are no longer making such judgment based on your values, but you make certain judgment based on the group or the shared beliefs of the cults. So you find that most cults, you find that you are deprived of your essential needs. Could be in terms of diet, it could be in terms of sleep. They occupy you most of the wake time because they want to create that, they want to cut you off. In fact, the acronym for the cults, they want to cut you off from the world, that is for C. Then after that, you are undernourished. You see, you are deprived of certain things that any ordinary human being, you are in that. Then they take you through this theology thing. That is for the thing. Then their leadership is so convincing. So you find by the time you reach somewhere, you find you have lost yourself.
Right.
You are no longer the person. You are having like zombie-like personality. You are willing to do whatever you are being told. You are willing to do whatever you are being instructed without question and asking why.
Right.
So you will find that you have deviated from the normal human being where you make your own decisions. You are no longer doing that. So you can see the correlation that we are talking about.
Right. When we were having this conversation some time back, someone just randomly asked us on the social channels whether, there could be cults that are not religious. Could there be also political cults? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, we have various types of cults. We have those religious cults, we have political cults, and we have those ones that have an interface. They can have begun from religion, then if they are supporting a particular political movement, they lend themselves towards that. But the process is the same. So I want to agree with you, it is very much correct that we have religious cults that are having certain doctrines and trying to glorify certain deity and certain religious teachings. But equally, we have political cults whereby equally there is a particular leader, charismatic, persuasive, who the followers have a zombie-like following without questioning. We have seen people die because of either political teachings or the political slogans that they are willing to die for that particular leader.
Right.
So I want to agree with you
that is possible. You've rightfully also been informing us on the psychological factors and conditions that contribute to people joining cults, and I think I would like to hear from you, Dr. Fabio, on the same. Are there some common underlying psychological factors as psychologists that you could point out which contribute maybe to someone to get into gambling addiction?
Okay, so basically, actually, most of these problems are usually interrelated. Mental health issues are usually interrelated. And one of the key things, like my colleague has alluded to, is that a person goes through what we call an existential crisis. He's in a situation where he's either financially, let's look, if you talk about gambling, he's in a situation where financially, he feels like he can't get out. Then, if we connect it with cults, even relationship, we have. I would say even on social media, we have people who consider have a cult following. People will come and tell you this is how you should live. Then people just take whatever that person says, and then they just implement it in their lives without reason. So one of the key things is that when this comes in, gambling comes in like as a savior, as a way out of this situation you're finding yourself in. And it promises that, you know, if you do this, you will get this. So that is a key factor. We live in a society, for example, if we're talking about gambling, we live in a society where, you know, status and appearance is put on a pedestal, where you're meant to, so long as you appear, there's a desire to appear to have money. There's a desire to appear. If today OKENYE said you're broke, then you'll get angry and go to social media and start showing me, you see, I have money.
A lot of money,
You start proving, you see. So meaning your identity as a person is based on you being perceived to have money. So largely, these are some of the issues that contribute.
Are there people maybe who use gambling as a way of coping with their mental health issues?
Yes. Because remember, there's like you alluded to, there's a certain excitement. If you go back into now, if you get to the basis of the addiction, is that you realize, let me just use an analogy of a rat. A person was conducting an experiment with a rat. The rat was in a cage. And as the rat was just going around the cage, it touched on a certain lever. And when it touched on the lever, a food pellet
Dropped in.
Oh, then the rat realized, if I touch here, there's
It will
always
keep coming in.
it comes in. But now the experimenter, what he did is that sometimes now when the rat would touch, he would not release the food
The
pellet.
food pellets, right.
So what do you think the rat did? The rat kept pressing the
lever,
lever
waiting.
many times, right?
Right.
And then occasionally would drop the food. So that is what happens. So as the brain now becomes wired. Remember, gambling, you're not always winning. You win once, you lose, and the more you lose, the more you anticipate that win. So you keep gambling more and more. So gambling is also, and that's why gambling is very addictive, because there's a desire for this person maybe saying, the next one. Next one.
My time will come.
Yes, my time will come. You know, and then there's an aspect of, you know, even now that, you know, that people now start having some religious beliefs even about gambling. They say, isiku nikivaa shati fulani, you know, I will
Beti yangu itaingia.
beti yangu itaingia, ama mse fulani akinisalimia, you know, all those things. So you see now it's starting even to get spiritual.
Right.
And you see now that desperation keeps the person deeper into
that kind of addiction. And I love that for gambling, it's easy to see the signs. I could take a look at, you know, I've been betting for the past 6 months. I can tell clearly I have quite a problem. But when it comes to cults, Dr. John, when this conversation was happening in Kenya, going online, I kept seeing people pointing fingers at each other, you know. You're saying there's a cult happening there, but you're also in this cult. You know, everyone's saying you're in that cult and you are in that. Everyone gets a cult. How do you get to know? Are there some telltale signs or like red flags I should look out for even now as Richard? Maybe I could be in a cult and I'm not aware of. Are there some things I could scrutinize today and say, indeed, this and this is something that is cultic?
Oh, yes. One of it, as I indicated, is unquestioning obedience. Yeah, you'll find that most religious organizations, they have, for example, a holy book for reverence, and whereby everybody is allowed, whether you are a leader or whether you are a member, to read and verify some of the facts that are given. Unlike that, for the courts, they believe that their religious leader has more liberation and better relationship with God. So they completely have a total dependence on that particular leadership. So that is one of the signs that you realize that if somebody is having a total dependence on a religious leader without questioning, that is indicative of something else. Then you'll find that these people begin, you see, these people before joining cults, they were members of a family, they were members of the society, but all of a sudden you find that they began engaging in a very exclusive rituals and behaviors. For example, I want to give an example, like your sister or your brother, you've been having handshakes, you've been greeting each other, and then all of a sudden he tells you you are unholy, I'm holy, so there is no handshake in that case. That is already telling you something about it. Then you will also find that these people are not available most of their work time. They are going for these religious vocations, they are going for religious commitment, so they are no longer engaged in their day-to-day work as any productive person. Instead, most of their work time they are spending on this. Then another sign is what is common, things that we do, we eat, we sleep, and dress in a particular way. And then all of a sudden you find that these people have changed their dress code. Sometimes that is so completely far away from the normal dress code. Their sleep patterns has completely changed. Then their way of eating, they have completely changed. Then there is a belief that anybody who is not in their group, they are not they do not have the spiritual awakening. It's like they are the luminants that have remained for the truth. They are the ones who are crusading. And then also the seal in which they do this can also be indicative, because the mega communications, the mega chants they do, and they always have this mentality, us and them. Us, we are better, we have a better relation with God, than them. So all those can tell you a lot.
Right, okay.
And maybe another thing I wanted to mention, now that we are in Biashara today,
Yes.
there's a lot of business that happens in these courts.
Okay.
You'll find that their leadership, they're leading a very lavish life. But to the contrary, their followers, they're leading
they're completely opposite.
Completely opposite of that. We have seen people who have given their belongings, their earthly possessions, because they are told that materialism is an impediment to the spiritual awakening. And you see, the most unfortunate thing, and that's why I'm telling you can be able to tell, they don't question their leader. We have seen people giving their rentals, houses, their living spaces to the leadership, and you are wondering, this person is telling you all this, and he is supposed to lead in meeting or getting that slice of heaven, but unfortunately, is not following basically what he's teaching.
Right.
We have also seen even some of the cult leaders selling certain items to their followers. And you see, the fact that the most cults have a huge following, they make a lot of money on this.
There's business there.
Yeah, there is a lot of business. It's still unconfirmed that some cults, they even sell some parts of their victims.
Body organs.
So there's a lot of business going on there. And I can also say that there are people who are more vulnerable to joining cults than others.
Okay.
Like what I talked about, people maybe are having serious conditions. People are having mental illness. And unfortunately, women are more vulnerable than men. And what is the reason behind it? You find that even in the normal religious gathering, there are more women than men. Women, the way they have been met and the way they are more likely to be in a social gathering than men.
Okay.
You see, not only that, most cults, as I told you, they have a mega communication and chants that appeals to the emotions.
Right.
Our female species, I can tell you, they're
More
emotional.
than men.
They express themselves. They react faster than the men. So you find that inevitably women can find themselves in this. Even the patriarchal structure of our societies, where you get that women for a very long time they've been oppressed.
Right.
Where they get a way out, a rescue, where they are recognized, where they are pampered from the domestic violence and other factors. So they are more likely to join the cause than the men themselves. Young people, the same thing. Because right now, maybe unlike my time, you find that you finish campus, there's nothing on offer, there are no possibilities of getting a job. Then you are promised that if you get your nyota, you are likely to get a big job. The young generation, they want a quick fix. They want to lead a better life. And you are told that joining a car, you're going to get a lot of money.
Right.
And you're going to drive big machines. So chances of the young people who are at the age where they have very high possibilities of a good life, they are more likely to join the cause than somebody who's older.
Right. Let me pick it up there and pass it to Dr. Fabio here on the lucrative outcomes, right, that he's mentioning there. People are told once you join this cult, maybe your life's going to get better, whether it's now or in the afterlife, right? And when you take a look at gambling, it's sort of the same thing. You're paraded with jackpot winners and, you know, shown what kind of life they are living now after they won the big bets. You know, there's that grass to grace story. And then there's this youth who, as you're saying, just finished maybe campus, has no prospects for a job or any business whatsoever. But once they place their 20 shillings, 50 shillings, they are able to get, you know, some quick returns, maybe today, maybe not today, but that, you know, reinforces that gambling addiction. How can someone who's hopeless in that regard separate themselves or come out of the gambling addiction? Is it a possibility, and how are there therapeutic approaches maybe that you can recommend?
Okay, thank you. And that's an important you know, issue, because the reality is, you know, we live in a society where, of course, there are serious economic challenges, especially among young people. And then, you know, if you look at our context, we have a number of social, let me call them social institutions, that are supposed to kind of be, you know, helping the young people to be able to cope with some of these challenges. One of them is the media. But the problem is that the media is not going to address gambling.
Right.
I'm actually surprised that KUTV is having this conversation. other TV stations don't have the conversation.
Not
That's
want
the
to
reality.
annoy the
Yes.
investors.
Thank you, right?
Yeah.
Because they make a lot of money through adverts.
That's
That's the reality, right? So we're talking about here, the media's role is actually promoting gambling.
Gambling, right.
So they're not going to address the issue of gambling as it is. If you look at the government interventions, if you look at what the government has done, the government has largely been interested in the taxes. They are saying there's a cash cow here, so we're going to just tax. That's why the guy who's placing bets is taxed. Your winnings are taxed. The gambling companies are taxed.
Taxed, right.
There is no conversation on what about the harms associated with what those who are addicted to
Gambling. Right.
And in fact, if you look at the data, most of the revenues don't come from occasional gamblers. The revenues come from those who are addicted. So you'll find that a small percentage of the income or the money that the gambling companies make is from a certain group who are addicted because they gamble more and placing more bets. Now another thing is that the church is also not addressing the issue of gambling. Your favorite pastor does not want to talk about gambling. Why? If you look at in our society, when people win, what are they told? What wakiuliza, what are you going to do with the money? What do they say the first thing they're going to do?
Going to
10%.
Yeah, or 10% to rise.
Move, right?
That becomes the
So your favorite pastor
Spiritual.
is waiting for you to win.
so that you can bring him your 10%.
Some 10 million, you bring in the 10%. So they're not having their conversation.
I see it. Right.
So then now this young person is left on his own, right? And that's why we're saying that now as a society, we need now to come in and have these conversations. We need to help people understand even the principles of, how money is made. Largely, money is made by adding some value to someone. By providing some value, then you're rewarded. But you see, the money doesn't matter. Now, to cope with some of those things, some of those pressures, if you've gotten into addiction, one of the key things is to understand, even your emotions around money, right? How our self-image, and our understanding on, how money is made. The other thing is that now, if a person is struggling with the addiction, and you see nowadays, I would say that even enjoying football is no longer that watching football is no longer as enjoyable as it used to be.
Sometimes half the fans are gamblers just waiting to see the results.
You see? So you're watching the game, the anxiety is largely on the bet. Ujamaa atafunga hii corner or something, you get. So you realize that even now the game itself has really been spoiled in a way.
Right.
So this person who is struggling with gambling first has to come to the realization that since I started gambling, my life has not been better. Where I wanted to be as an individual, my goals and my, my aspirations, I have not achieved them. So the first recognition, because in addiction we say the first step towards healing is admitting that you have a problem. So this person, once he sees that gambling has done more harm in my life than good, then I will go to the next step where now he starts, disengaging even from that. By the way the apps and the gambling industry structure right now, it is even very hard for someone to withdraw from
the
gambling.
app, right?
Because you'll still get messages.
Promotional messages.
Yes,
yeah.
the promotional messages will still be coming. So you see, this person is always bombarded with. Even a person who's trying to take a break can't take a break. I've worked with people who they decided, they even called the gambling companies telling them, don't send me any, don't even allow me to gamble.
Yeah.
But
if you see me trying to
yeah,
gamble,
don't. But you see, they never act on that. So you really have to keep pushing until you. So you realize there is no channel for someone to get out easily.
Okay.
Then we also have to talk about support. For example, now if someone is really deep into it and is gotten into the addictions, is gotten into depression and all those things, then now the person can seek professional help.
Right.
So that now he's able to be taken through the process of recovery.
All right, Dr. John.
Yes.
He's talking about the the difficulty of someone getting out of a gambling addiction.
Yes.
And I bet it's the same for Carls, because
Yes.
we rarely get to hear, even with the recent events, I don't think we've heard of anyone coming out to say, I used to be in this cult, let me tell you how I got out.
Yeah.
It seems to be quite a challenge in these two issues. Are there possible responses you feel maybe from society or from an individual to effectively get out of this grasp by the charismatic leaders of cults?
Yeah, thank you, OKENYE, for this opportunity. Yeah, there's a way out. And when I saw what was happening, especially the rescue mission that was happening in Shakahola, I hope they are not only going to use only the punitive measures, especially to the victims. But I was so happy that, like, for example, Red Cross was on the ground. I was so happy that I can see people who are rescued are very weak. They've been put on a trip. So I can share that these victims in the rescue mission, they need some kind of holistic healing or holistic intervention, which focuses on their physical being. These are people who have been subjected or they have been deprived of the basic needs of a human being, whether it is sleep, whether it is diet, and other things, and even living conditions. You saw the kind of sanities that these people are living on. So they need the physical treatment and a physical rescue from those conditions. And as I told you, this non-chemical addiction, it affects the brain. It's a brain disease. And you will find that majority of them, they also suffer from other disorders like depression and anxiety, especially when they're, if you remember, like the old lady was coming out of it, he still was chanting that this is a war between the law and the spirituality and all that, such that if they don't engage in what they're used to, they will get depressed, because it's like they've been taken away from what they believe in. So those are people who need to be stabilized by depression drugs. Then once they've been stabilized, now the psychology comes in, the psychological intervention, and I'm recommending the cognitive behavioral therapy. Because what happened, the cult leadership focused on the beliefs and the thoughts of this person. In the cognitive behavioral therapy, we believe that our behavior and our emotions are influenced by what we believe in, by the thought process. Whatever that happens in our life, it is influenced by our thought process. So the focus of intervention should be, how do we influence differently these thoughts and these beliefs, so that this person will be able to see that whatever they are believing is irrational, so that we change them into rational beliefs and begin leading a normal life. And that also now brings the aspect of spirituality. because they've been having these spiritual ideologies, which needs to be replaced with another spiritual ideology, which brings another aspect of spiritual interventions. And I can want to challenge our spiritual leaders that when you compare the cults and the mainstream, the cults, they have really invested in appealing to the members.
Right. It's a business.
It's a business. But you go sometimes to our mainstream religions, very poorly, which makes young people not to appear there. So why are we putting a program to be program-centered but not people-centered? The world is changing very fast. And we're not saying you compromise the standards of the religion. But let the mainstream be responsible to the change that is happening so that they can get hold of these young population that need certain things to be done without necessarily compromising. And that's the only way we can live or maintain these young people to be in the mainstream, health, spirituality, religions. So the spiritual intervention comes in. Then these people belongs to families. They were cut off from the families. Some aspect of reintegration needs to be done. How do we assist these people and their members now to understand anybody can be in the cult? And this is our brother, this is our sister that we need to accept them back. What I believe is we need the negative us. Negative us is we are looking at the victims of the cult as useless and silly because they joined it. We begin stigmatizing them.
Right.
We need to change that to a positive us where we understand them, where we understand that anybody can be in this, and we support them. That is the positive us. And once we have that, we'll have some kind of holistic to rescue and assist the victims of the cults.
All right.
Yes.
That is actually a call out to the community. If you're listening, I think that's a very important message, that we steer away from, stigma. The first thing that happens once people hear this kind of news is, as you've said there, how stupid could they be? As an example of that, air hostess, how stupid could she be to give out all of that after having traveled the whole world and seen everything? And I think it's the same thing with gambling. Young people are exposed to the internet and the digital world where, they have all this information, but then you realize it's the same populace that falls into gambling addiction. Now, just to wrap up, because I see also we've spent quite some time here and there's a lot that we could speak about in regards to these two conversations, but are there activities happening in this week as organized within Kenyatta University that will also maybe have conversations centering around gambling?
Yes, so Kenyatta University has taken up, the issues of mental health seriously, and one of the now in this as we are creating awareness, one of the activities we're having conversations with students. Right now, the students who are in campus, so we're going to have conversation with them about issues related to gambling, mental health. We're also reaching out to the community because we don't live in isolation. So we're also reaching out to them. We're having conversations related to issues to do with mental health, gambling, and all issues that concern our well-being. And we're also coming up with support groups. So we want to create a culture because a person emerges from a certain kind of culture. So we want to create a certain culture of where conversations about mental health are normalized. People with mental health conditions or challenges are not stigmatized, so that now we are able now to create a society that is not only well physically but also well mentally.
Right.
Yeah.
Dr. John?
Yes.
Are there any activities we're expecting this week, or
even
long term?
Yeah, even up to next week, because the month ends next week. Yeah, as I was putting up, these issues of the cult and coming out of the cults needs to be holistic. We need to have a comprehensive continuum of care that focuses on the four major dimensions of wellness. That is the physical dimension, the psychological dimension, the social dimension, and the spiritual dimension. So, for example, on Tuesday, Biashara, today, you'll host one of our leading psychiatrists in the university by the name Susan Hinka. and Reverend Bishop Gatwa on talking about the comprehensive continuum of care, CCC, to assist anybody who is at risk or is more likely to have mental illness, including the cause that we are talking about. They will be looking at the treatment options that are there. They will be looking at the components of this comprehensive continuum of care, from prevention up to aftercare, after the person has gone through that. And of course, the role of the family. Sometimes the patient could be a symptom of a dysfunctional family. The family can be the cause.
The Shakahola
Yes.
incident, there were a lot of kids there.
There were a lot of kids. Or sometimes, what is happening in the family? A family, it could be a context where behavior is happening. Maybe somebody is suffering from domestic violence. The car become a rescue place to go. So they will be looking at, like, what is the role of family in terms of being the cause? Or sometimes a family can be the hidden patient of the mental illness, because whatever is happening on the child or on the son is affecting the family. So, in fact, the family plays three roles. One, it can be they are the cause of the current situation in one way or another, what is happening in the family, or they can be the effect of this mental illness on the family. They became the hidden patients, or they can be used as a support system. So there's a lot that is lined for our clientele in the university and outside the university in terms of the comprehensive continuum of care, and it would be climaxed by the talk on Biashara today.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I had one very last one before I can get your last remarks. Samis, when you say Samis in this conversation, what does that mean? It means it's hard to separate the two?
Oh, yes. What happens is mental illness and addiction conditions, they coexist. And there are three possible scenarios for this explanation. It could be mental health disorder A could be causing the addiction disorder, or the addiction disorder could be causing the mental health illness. In other words, the use of the substance or engagement in the non-behavior aggravates or activates the latent state. You are mentally healed, but not to the level of being visible and conspicuous. But by taking the substance or engaging in this, it triggers what Dr. Bisi was talking about, the perpetuating factors. Or there could be conditions that are common that are influencing both the mental health disorder and the substance use. So that's why we are talking about, like, let the treatment be comprehensive in such a way that we don't just target on the mental health disorder, but we also need to know that if a person is showing or engaging in substance use, there's something beyond there. It could be because he's also having an underlying mental disorder. So you see, the Samis, they are inseparable. So there's need, like now, the global theme for the mental health awareness is, it is never just anxiety. Anxiety is an inherent emotion. Anxiety is a motivator. It can make us to engage in a particular behavior. For example, when you are approaching an exam, you become anxious. Anxiety is made of two emotions, fear and anticipation. It motivates you to read and get the facts. In fact, sometimes I believe, like, if people read like the way they read towards exams, we'll have geniuses here.
Right, that's true.
That is an anxiety in this
In its
positive way. But when it is overwhelming, it could be it is not alone. It could be there's something beyond it there.
Right.
And that's why we are talking about this amazing twins, and which calls for us that yourself or a loved one, you get them anxious, or you see that they have begun engaging in substance use or non-chemical behaviors, don't stop there. It could be an indication of an underlying mental illness.
Right.
Such that when you treat one, it could be just a symptom of the other one.
Right.
So you need to have a comprehensive continuum of care that focuses in more than one disorder, basically.
Thank you very much, Dr. John and Dr. Fabio. I'll be getting your parting shots, but just to give a shout out to the people who've been watching this conversation. Mla Kenya saying nice thoughts from the doctors. Effie Jaffe just clapping there and appreciating what we are trying to say on mental health and gambling plus cults and a bit of substance abuse there. The conversation already happened yesterday with Karen Blessing on Art and Culture Monday. So if you can get to also go on YouTube and check out what conversations or what discussion was happening around substance abuse and mental health awareness, it will be very good for you. Wahoo Tracy, I'm really learning a lot from this conversation. Thank you, Wahoo, for that message that you've sent. Washuka Sarah, also loving the show. Mental Health Awareness Month, parting shot from both of you. I'll start with Dr. Fabio. I think you have a camera here.
Okay.
Right.
Look at it.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So I just want to say that gambling is I would call it a silent pandemic that we're having in our country. And now I'm talking about gambling addiction because a significant proportion, research is showing that over 60% of the youth have engaged in gambling in one way or the other. So that shows that there's a huge population who are at risk of developing addiction. And as we talk about now addiction, it's important for us to know that if you look at a person at the face, you may not necessarily see as a gambler. A person who is drunk, you'll see this person is smelling of alcohol, is staggering. So it's a silent pandemic in the sense that it has taken over the youth and even women now. Nowadays, if you see the winners, they're kind of parading even older women, shows. So because the gambling companies are interested in new clients. If you've gambled already, you're already winning mteja. So they're always looking
Let's
for.
go to the next.
Yes, so they are getting women. If you go to the market, you'll find that the women there have also have gotten into gambling. Wamama, people you do it traditionally.
They don't expect
Yes.
to also.
So we're having a crisis in our country, and I would urge that we start having these conversations. And even for the government, I would even think that, you see, in Kenya we have NACADA, which is an agency that is responsible to deal with issues to do with
Drug abuse.
drug abuse. We need to come up with an agency in the country that is also focused on issues to do with gambling addiction.
Right.
Yeah.
That's apt. Dr. John, any last remark?
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. I have to say that it is okay not to be okay, but it is not okay to suffer in silence, to feel stigmatized, to feel silly, and suffer in silence, especially when you are suffering from mental illness. I want to tell viewers that if you have a loved one who is having a mental illness, please don't look at them as useless, don't look at them as silly, don't stigmatize them, but support them, understand what they're going through. Addictive behaviors are diseases like another. They need to be understood, and they need that condition to be understood that it's chronic, a long life, and these people need support. I also want to tell the viewers that today, 23rd May, is also an international day for ending fistula. And as a consultant in that area, as much as this is a physical illness, the fistula women, they undergo a lot of psychosocial issues that need to be assisted. So I'm telling the fistula survivors and the patients out there, this being also a mental awareness month, as you celebrate your day to day for regaining back your dignity and glory, know that it is okay, that you are going through recovery, and you will reach where you want to reach, despite what you have gone through. So I think I end it there.
Right.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much as well for coming through, gentlemen. That is Dr. John Oteo, lecturer in the psychology department, Kenyatta University, and also with him is Dr. Fabio Oganchi, lecturer as well, Department of Psychology, and a researcher in gambling. I'll close it up with one statement that I had here, I think two. It's not just anxiety, and it's okay not to be okay. Biashara Tuesday takes a short break, and then we'll be right back with more conversations, and we're going to read your feedback as well, so keep engaging us on all social platforms. I'll be right back.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Dawa zetu ambazo ni za kibiolojia ama biological product, unapiga asubuhi, jioni unachuna mboga yako. Pia tunaangazia kilimo ya kitchen garden, kwa sababu unajua tukiwa na kitchen garden hata tutakuwa na pesa kwa mfuko.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
The folks are going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi kukufuku. Pepo pa ni idea.
Sazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, ndio inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we are losing.
The level we need to go is a level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you'll find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found, because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
everybody! I'm Nana.
And I'm Gigi.
Welcome to Engine Season 2!
The place to find out about the world we live in
and the creatures that we share our planet with.
Join us on the most exciting adventures across the African continent.
See breathtaking wildlife, stunning landscapes,
and out of this world technologies.
Meet incredible scientists
and learn fantastic facts.
Explore, discover, be amazed.
Be part of the next generation of African change makers.
Be a part of Engine, Africa's #1 science discovery program. Yay!
We're learning every day. Let's go! Engine leads the way.
Karibuni sana to the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Terrence.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Arts
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
All right, thank you for keeping it here at KUTV Kenya, KUTV Rise Today, on this edition of Biashara Tuesday. We just had a conversation there with two doctors from the Department of Psychology in Kenyatta University. They are informing us of the telltale signs of addiction in gambling and also recruitment into calls. So if you missed that, it's important that you check out our YouTube later on for that uploaded conversation. Right about now, party cleanup, trouble with KRA, and other developments in the world of politics is coming up to you in the news updates that are bringing to you right about now. Don't go far. All right, welcome back. Still engage us. Remember, we are streaming live on YouTube, KUTV Kenya Live. You can tweet us out at the hashtag Rise Today, hashtag Biashara Tuesday, and that's where we can get to hear your conversations, your feedback from as we go on with other matters of Biashara Tuesday. Right about now, the roundup of the news updates from yesterday night all the way to this morning in the KUTV news updates that are going to be broadcasted to you in a short while. Tell us what you think, what your reactions are on what our reporters have prepared for you this morning. I'll be right back. All right. Okay, now, nominated Member of Parliament Sabina Chege and East Africa Legislative Assembly member Kanini Kega have been expelled from the Jubilee Party. The National Delegates Conference held at the Ngong Racecourse and chaired by former President Uhuru Kenyatta has also resolved to strike off the party register names of 10 other members for gross misconduct. Kega and Sabina had, as of last week, expelled other members from the party before this came down to them.
The much-anticipated Jubilee NDC finally took off, leaving a trail of casualties in its wake. First on the chopping board were Kanini Kega and Sabina Chege, who lead the breakaway Jubilee faction. Up to 12 members were expelled, including Jimmy Angwenyi, Joshua Kutuny, Mutava Musimi, Naomi Shaban, and Nelson Zuya, among others.
Wale ambao wameonekana dalili ya kufurahia kuwa kwingine, sisi kama NDC tunakubalia wao waondoke wasiondoke. Waondoke wasiondoke.
They will be replaced in the National Executive Council by new officials, including Beatrice Gabo, Mauka Maore, Joseph Manje, and Kados Muiruri, who are deputy party leaders. Jamlek Kamau is the new director of elections, and Pauline Njoroge and Uhuru Alai will be deputy organizing secretary, among other changes. The NDC ruled out any cooperation with Kenya Kwanza, vowing to stay put in Azimio, even as leaders lamented over an aggressive drive to cripple opposition by weakening constituent parties.
We shall not let anyone play around with constituent parties of Azimio. Na nataka ijulikane ulimwengu wote. Sio waasi ndani ya Jubilee wanataka kubomoa Jubilee. Ni William Ruto.
From today's NDC, ex-President Uhuru Kenyatta will continue leading the Jubilee Party, a move criticized by disgruntled members. Many hold to constitutional provision that forbids a retired president from leading a political outfit.
Wameamua ya kwamba kazi itakuwa ya vitisho na kulazimisha. Siku ya leo nimewaambia tafuteni mwingine, sio Uhuru wa Kenyatta.
Kusema kwamba Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta astaafu na asahau mambo ya siasa na mimi am older than him. What are you telling me?
Raila called for respect for retired leaders while dismissing any handshake with President Ruto, saying that Kenya Kwanza is too shady to be embraced.
Kwa upande mmoja wanasema wanataka kuimarisha multi-party democracy. Kwa upande hii unaua Jubilee. Unaingia ODM. Kwa utaingia ndani ya Wiper.
The resolutions at today's NDC will surely receive a counter-reaction from the Kega-led faction. However, it remains to be seen if President Kenyatta's new commitment to the leadership of the party will rejuvenate the once ruling political party in the country. Dennis Omondi reporting for KUTV.
That Jubilee Party National Delegates Convention officially began after midday, with the hundreds of the party's delegates attending the conference dressed in red garments which signify the party's color. The event was presided over by former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who made a grand entry accompanied by other political leaders from the Azimio coalition, including the coalition's leader Raila Odinga. Salma Swale attended the event and now brings us the pomp and color of that Jubilee Party NDC.
Red color was the theme of the Jubilee National Delegates Convention held at Ngonga Racecourse, with hundreds of its members attending dressed in red garments. The meeting was hosted by former President and party leader Uhuru Kenyatta. Entertainment consumed the better part of the day, with performances by the Sarakasi dancers, a Kikuyu poem by Wanja, among others. The party leader and the chief guest of the event, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, made a grand entry to the event amid applause and cheers from the crowd welcoming him to the event. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga, together with the NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua and a host of other leaders, were also in attendance. Roots Party leader Professor George Wajakoya made a light moment following his stylish entry into the stage, where he pulled a section of the crowd to join him in dancing to the reggae tune. However, the delegates in the meeting were heard chanting the Anti-Kanini Kega slogans during the meeting.
New Life Prayer Center and church pastor Ezekiel Odero has, as of yesterday, regained access to his bank accounts that were frozen for 15 days to allow investigations to take place. The decision comes after the expiry of the court-issued freeze on his accounts. The investigating officer, Inspector Martin Munene, took to the dock that morning of yesterday and confirmed that all banks had complied and he had no issue with the pastor accessing his church accounts. Beryl Chelagat is a reporter with us and has more of this.
Pastor Ezekiel Odero has been granted relief today after the court decided to reopen his bank accounts, which were closed for 15 days to pave way for the investigations. The court has confirmed that all banks complied with the order to allow the investigations of the 15 bank accounts associated with the pastor. Investigation Officer Inspector Martin Munene, while speaking in court, confirmed that according to the documents submitted, there was no bank account registered under Pastor Ezekiel's name, but all the accounts belong to either the church or the school. Inspector Munene has reported to the court that Safaricom, the telecommunications company, is yet to comply with the court order to provide data related to the investigated SIM cards. However, the Milimani court has summoned the Safaricom manager to appear in court on May 30th after the company allegedly refused to allow the police access to 7 M-Pesa lines belonging to Pastor Ezekiel Odero and his church. Judge Ben Ekubi of the Milimani Court issued this order after the Directorate of Criminal Investigations informed the court that Safaricom had failed to comply with the initial order to disclose the financial information of the pastor and his church. Beryl Rotich, KUTV.
Let's move over to Kisii County, where detectives from OKENYE sub-county have arrested a suspect and seized a consignment of contraband sugar at Magena Trading Center in Bomachoge, Borabu. This comes amid interdiction of several public officers in Mombasa over disappearance from the stores of a batch of brown sugar condemned as unfit for human consumption. The over 800 kgs of the sugar in 14 bags of 50 kg and 3 others of 25 kg respectively were being repackaged in polythene papers with labeled sugar companies from Tanzania, Uganda and Kenya at a premise. Area Sub-County Commander Charles Opondo said the detectives acted on a tip-off and pounced on a female suspect. The essential commodity's origin was unknown, while the indicated quantities of 0.5, 1 and 2 kgs offered for sale to consumers could not be ascertained owing to the lack of a weighing machine.
Kutokana na ripoti tuliyopata ya intelligence yetu, tuweza kupata hii nyumba ambayo inatengeneza sukari, wana sukari, wana repackage sukari. Sukari yetu tunaweza kuipata hapa ni kampuni moja kutoka Uganda, nyingine ya Tanzania, na zingine za hapa kwetu Kenya. Alafu wana karatasi za kupack ambazo unaziona kule ndani. Wanapack kwa kilo 1, nusu na kilo 2. Na kwa kweli hakuna weighing machine ambayo iko hapa, kwa hiyo kwa kabisa.
Kwa hiyo area yetu tuko na sita, tumeshangazwa na kuona hii vitu imenyang'anywa na kwa wananchi, Tumeona vitu nyingi, sukari, hata sisi kama wamama, mimi kama mama community policing, nimesangaa na nimeona area hii iko na uzuni.
Kwa kusema ukweli, hiyo sukari mimi naonanga, kuna mtu nilikondisha kwa hii nyumba nikampea room, akakuja akaomba nikampea room, akaanza biashara ya sukari. Na hiyo sukari anatoa Mugunga, kwa ulizeli za Mugunga. Na sijui hizo zuri saida na gani, lakini anatoa Mugunga, na anatoa paiki, inasukisha sukari, anapigiwa simu kuja uchukue sukari kutoka kwa duka.
Right, now on to KRA. Tax reliefs and incentives cost the Kenyan government 620 billion in revenues in the 5 years to February of 2023, giving perspective to the income losses for the government amid the cash flow pressures. According to KRA, it started the fourth and the last quarter of the current financial year with a 128 billion shilling collection deficit, thus reflecting a 6.7% of target, largely linked to unremitted pay as you earn.
A statement tabled before Parliamentary Finance and Planning Committee by the Kenya Revenue Authority showed that the government missed out on shilling 620.5 billion shillings in tax reliefs and incentives in the period between January 2018 and February 2023. Of this amount, 65% translating to 405 billion was attributed to reliefs and incentives related to customs, where the remaining 216 billion was attributed to reliefs and incentives on domestic taxes. In the recently released quarterly economic and budgetary review, the Treasury indicated that revenue collection by March 2023 was below target by 87.4 billion, meaning between March and April, the deficit widened by an extra 40.6 billion. The KRA has since written to the Treasury seeking to reverse tax abandonment worth 9.2 billion, of which 8.2 billion is attributed to Kenya Breweries Limited, 612.7 million to the ICT Ministry, 332 million to London Distillers, and 38.2 million is attributed to Maendeleo ya Wanawake. The statement tabled by the KRA before the committee revealed that exemptions were the biggest drivers of loss of tax revenue between January 2018 and February 2023. Accounting for 328.1 billion, followed by refunds at 127.2 billion. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
Onto a very bizarre story. Police officers have arrested a suspect who allegedly wounded his stepbrother by cutting off his left arm using a machete in Sangalo village, Bungoma County. And this is following a land dispute. DCI officers are conducting an investigation into the ownership of the farm at the relevant office, seeking to determine what led to the suspect cutting off his stepbrother's hand and leaving him with severe injuries. Oscar Wafula, who is the victim, now calls upon authorities to investigate his step-parents, claiming they might have participated in perpetrating this incident.
A 34-year-old man has been admitted to the referral hospital in Bungoma County. Nursing wounds he sustained after he was attacked by his stepbrother. This incident occurs following a 2-acre land dispute between them, which led to the brutal attack.
Nikaona mtu ananikata panga huko kwa shingo. Ananikata panga kwa shingo. Kukimbia, kujitetea tunakimbia na anguka. Akanikata huu mkono. Alafu akaanza kunikatakata kwa kiuno, kwa mapeka huko na kwa miguu.
The dispute led by Oscar Wafula Juma, a father of 2 and husband to 1, having his left hand and other parts of his body cut off, signifying that he will live with a disability.
Na kabla huyu mtoto hajanikata nilikuwa nimesalamia mamaka ako hapo nje anafakia. Mimi nilikuwa nataka tu wanisaidie tu nipate haki yangu. Vile wameniweka kilema hivi. Nataka tu wanishughulikie nipate tu haki yangu.
Oscar is recovering from his injuries, but he finds himself bedridden, a situation he did not anticipate. Furthermore, the ward nurse in charge confirms that he is improving compared to when he was admitted.
Currently, the patient is okay. Debridement was done. The wounds were stitched. The patient is fine. We are out of danger.
Oscar Wafula is requesting the Bungoma County Police Department to investigate his biological father and stepmother as they were present during the incident, and no action has been taken. The police are investigating the incident to determine the truth of the matter. Celestine Wandia, KUTV.
In Kericho County, 3 tea plucking machines belonging to the Kimugu Tea Estate have, as of yesterday, been torched by locals in that county, forcing police to engage in a running battle with the protesters who were demonstrating over what they termed as skewed employment by multinationals. The chaos, which broke at the Brook Trading Center, paralyzed the traffic on the Kericho-Nakuru highway after the locals lit bonfires, bringing business to a standstill. That is the situation over at Kericho, and we'll be monitoring it to see what happens. You can follow KUTV's broadcasting to see the developments later in the day. We feature now, and we take a look at a lady pastor who has taken it upon herself to give teenage mothers a second chance to life. Our reporter, Caroline Kimwele, tells us how abandoned and expelled teen moms from their homes in Nairobi County have found solace with this woman of God.
A recent review by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, shows that teenage pregnancy and motherhood rate in Kenya stands at 18%. This implies that about 1 in every 5 teenage girls between the ages of 15 to 19 years have either had a live birth or are pregnant with their first child. In Kiwanja area, Roysambu constituency, Nairobi County, we meet Mary Ekiru, who for over 10 years now has sacrificed to save 22 girls affected by teenage pregnancy in a Victor's Children Home.
Mimi nasaidia yule mtoto arudi, just to give them a second chance and also to prove to the world ya kwamba huyu mtu hata kama maisha yake alikatizwa kwa sababu ya jambo hilo, ni kwamba anaweza akaamka na ajitetee na asimame tena na aendelee na maisha.
Meet Faith and Joy, not their real names. They tell us how their parents and lovers disowned them to an extent of being evicted from places they called home after they became pregnant.
Watu wa home wakaleta shida, wakaniambia nafaa kujua kwenye ndapeleka ball. Hadi mwenye alikuwa responsible pia akakataa. So ndo mama akanichukua tu back.
The other reason for saving these girls, as Mary explains, is absence of the ability to raise them because of challenges including poverty. Victor's Home then intervenes by giving a second chance to such girls who their families are unable to cater for their basic needs.
Nilikuja hapa last year. Sasa nilikuwa na join from one side, wazazi wangu hawakuwa na uwezo wa kunipeleka high school. Sasa wakaongea na mama, wakanileta mzazi mmoja. Mwingine aliaga dunia kwa wadogo sana.
Further statistics from UNESCO reveals drivers of teenage pregnancy and motherhood include lack of education, including education on sexual and reproductive health, poverty, early sexual initiation, harmful cultural practices such as child marriages, sexual abuse or violence, and barriers to access to sexual and reproductive health services.
Sana sana wengine they walk in. Anakuja kwa sababu amechanganyikiwa. Hajui aende wapi, hajui afanye nini, na pengine siku zake zimefika. Kwa hivyo anakuja, anaongea, tunajaribu kumfuatilia kama tunaweza msaidia akiwa kwao. Mzazi akikataa ama ule mwenye huyo mtoto akikataa, ndio sisi sasa tutachukulia.
In her effort to try and talk to some of the parents and families to accept the girls and give them a second chance, their response is often that the girls have embarrassed them as parents, ending up chasing them away from home.
Wengine hata wakijua ya kwamba mtoto amepata mahali, hawaongei. Wananyamaza, wapigi simu, hawafuatilii, kwa sababu kwao mzigo umewaondokea mara mbili, ya ule mtoto wao na huyu msichana, yule mtoto na huyu msichana. Kwa hivyo wengine wako sawa na wengine hata hawataki kujua. Kuna watu hawataki kujua.
Na hata labda ukijaribu kuwafuatilia
Nimejaribu, wengine unafuatilia na wanasema ya kwamba hawataki huyo mtoto, aliwahaibisha.
Victor's Children's Home gives the girls another chance to continue their studies, gain skills in different arts such as beauty, braiding, sewing, and beading, among other artistic skills.
Sahi niko boarding school na naachanga tu mtoto akiwa sawa, naenda nasoma, nikirudi bado wako sawa, hakuna shida yoyote. Imenisaidia sana katika masomo yangu na kulea mtoto. Wananilipia karo ya shule. Hata kila kitu yenye nahitaji ni wao wananisaidia nayo. Hata pocket money wao wananisaidia.
Mary, however, explains that despite a part of the community giving critics that she is encouraging child sex by giving the girls a second chance, she says that her fear is that one day she will be unable to raise them due to lack of finances. She is therefore calling on well-wishers for their hand in raising the girls.
Charity ukosa ladha ama ukosa umuhimu wake wakati unasaidia mtu ndio aje akusaidie. That is not charity. That is business. That is hiyo ni kuwekeana deni ya kwamba nitafanya hivi na wewe kesho ufanye hivi. Hiyo ni deni. But charity is when you support, you help without expecting anything in return.
This call has also been given to President William Ruto in contributing to fulfill the dreams of young generation.
Ningependa kumwambia Rais William Ruto to support sisi kama youths wadogo kwa kusoma juu the moment unasoma unaweza eka all your mind and efforts kwa masomo, ndo at least uone hadi mimi nataka kufika mahali fulani, yani ndoto yako isididimie. Wasaidie tuweze kusoma, tuweze kutimiza ndoto zetu, na pia sisi tukitimiza tutasaidia wale wengine.
Mary Ekiru has, however, not given up hope for helping despite the loss of her husband and son, who were her source of motivation. Caroline Kimwele for KUTV.
While speaking at Thika Technical Training Institute, where warders from 4 prisons, including Thika Main Prison, Maranjao GK Prison, Mwea GK Prison, and Muranga GK Prison, launched the sports competition, Deputy Officer in charge of Thika Main Prison, Geoffrey Mbugua, said that the games will not only help the officers to avoid bad morals, but will also enhance teamwork and capacity building amongst them, thus making them more effective at work.
Games are so good to officers in that currently, we have stress levels are so high. So in the event that officers are engaged in these activities,
Thika Main Prison Team Manager Edwin Mbugua has called upon the government and relevant authorities to consider supporting other sporting activities such as volleyball and races amongst the prison warders in order to boost their morale at work.
Tukishirikiana kwa pamoja katika kuwa na michezo kama hizi, tuna avoid mambo ya drug abuse, sana alcoholism, pia tuna avoid mambo ya stress.
The players say that through football and other sports activities, officers who engage in alcohol and substance abuse will be salvaged and rehabilitated.
Tunakuwa na shida kidogo ambaye kazi ngumu ile tunafanya hiyo masaa pia. So wakati unatoka kazi unapata ile refreshment ya michezo, at least inasaidia.
Still tuna recruit wengine wanakuja ni officers. Wana join team yetu mpaka sasa tuko na at least full like team mbili ile full strong na officers wenye turnout yao inakuja iko mzuri.
Thika Main Command Prison won the competition, scooping the trophy, while the prison warders say that the sports will help them to positively spend their free time instead of engaging in other helpful activities. They are hopeful that the sports activities will help improve their mental and physical fitness. Njama Gikomo for KUTV Sports.
All right, that's what we have for you this morning on the news updates from KUTV Kenya. We're coming back with Kimani Wachira, the president of the TVET Association of Students. This morning we are taking a look at a few stories from the Daily Nation, the Business Daily, and then the conversation of the day is application to colleges. The portal is open. What exactly should students who are looking to transition from high school to campus should take a look at when they're trying to get into their career decision making? What path and what decisions should they be thinking around before they finally get to sign and move on to their respective universities? So if you're a Form 4 leaver, or if you're a parent or a friend or a brother, a sister of a Form 4 leaver, this conversation is going to be important for you. Don't go far. I'll be right back.
Sana to the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Tero.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
What's up, fashionistas? Looking for a show that brings you the latest in the world of fashion, glamour, creativity, and style? Fashion Diaries got you sorted as we explore street fashion, modeling, runways, red carpet events, and so much more.
Catch me, Ashley Asachi, as we unlock the greatest fashion events. Keep it locked. possessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Badala ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili.
Bila woga, watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi, hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Ni kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we are losing.
The level we need to go is a level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake these solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you'll find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found. Because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
I'm live on air on Biashara Tuesday. Talk to me on social platforms. I am here with Kimani Washira. He's been on the show before. We are discussing the application to universities. So if you're someone out there who's trying to review courses, this is an informative session for you on how to apply for placement to university and TVET colleges or revise your course selections. I'm having it with the president of the TVET Association of Students in Kenya. Welcome back, Kimani.
Thank you very much.
Umekuaje?
Nimekuwa salama.
Right.
I'm very proud to be here. And now not talking about per se politics, but talking about the impact of politics. That
Right.
is developing and nurturing others into getting to apply for university courses, such as now that the KUCCPS placement is open, we tell them what they need to look for, the procedure, and also end the conversation with the best way to choose a course.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. And don't say we are not going to talk about politics because you were there yesterday at the Jubilee NDC. So we have to hear the reactions from the ground, whether you're part of the ousted team that I see here on the front of the Daily Nation. Remember, we'll also be taking a look at the headlines this morning. We have the Daily Nation and the Business Daily, but if you have the Standard and any other paper, please also send us the headlines and what your reactions are to the stories. But speaking about the papers and education, we can begin the conversation on KUCCPS at the back of the Daily Nation here with a crisis that is facing varsities, which are now going without VCs. Many public universities in the country have not had substantive leaders for years, including here I see Pwani University, for example, which has been operating without a chancellor since 2018. I don't know if you've had a chance to take a look at this crisis, and bringing it up around the cash crisis, which has also been quite a problem within the Kenyan universities. What's your reaction to this, you being a leader of an association of students?
Education, to begin with, is a chance to equalize everybody and give them a chance, despite the background of our parents, to be equal. The government is failing the education sector, and it's failing the next generation, because we began with cash crisis, that the government has failed to send cashes to our universities. Now we are seeing that there is a crisis of university going without VCs and even chancellors. A case in point is Pwani University, where it hasn't had chancellors for 4 years. It has had 4 graduations without a vice chancellor, which is contravening the University Act of 2012 that says that the university should only stay for 3 months without a vice chancellor. That if he is dead, incapacitated, they should elect another one, or they should appoint another one. So the Ministry of Education and the government of the Republic, because chancellors are appointees of the president, have failed us. The current government and also the previous government have failed the university sector, because at the end of the day, if we want Kenya to be at par with the rest of the world, we have to invest more in education. And then, if the investment is retrogressive, then how do we expect to fight with China, India, and other economical giants, including the USA, if we are not able to invest well within our university?
Right. There's a leadership crisis, right? And that's what we are seeing as the main story at the back of the Daily Nation. Several universities have been mentioned here, and I might not go through the whole list. There's a host of them who've been operating without VCs, and currently even some of the top universities in the Republic, their VCs terms are coming to an end sometime within the year. Some even June 1st, I'm seeing, as with the Masai Mara University, which has had its own fair share of issues, including that Citizen TV expose. I don't know if you remember it, Kimani, where they implicated the leadership there of a scandal of 177 million Kenyan shillings. And I have a question for you as a leader who's been there within the university institution, leading students. What role does the student leadership play when it comes to crisis like this one? I have not seen any outroar from students saying we need VCs, we need chancellors. Is there some level of comfort with not having the top leadership, or with this looming leadership crisis? How would you say the student association leadership handles it?
To begin with, for a case in point is Pwani University. There have been a lot of crises in Pwani University. We have seen even our good friend and KUSO president who hails from that region, leading the people to demonstrations. And some of these things would have been solved if they had a chancellor. We have seen that the dangers of leadership crisis in Meru, where we saw the students go to the road demonstrating when the VC was sacked, and I quote, by the board. Yes, the student body plays a key role in the leadership of the university, but it works in cohort with the leadership of the university. So if there is vacuum in the leadership of the university, that is in the VCs, and in the VCs or the chancellor itself, it leaves a vacuum that is felt by the comrades. And this has a ripple implication to the near future, because we are training student leaders to be leaders, but they don't have anybody they can look at par. And also, affairs of the university sometimes take too much time to be addressed because of the vacuum in leadership.
Right.
So it has had negative impact to the social and political welfare of our students in our university.
Right. Many of these issues are not being addressed because the leadership is lacking, and hopefully maybe sometime in the near future, the Ministry of Education does address this. Now, let's talk about getting people into these universities, because we're not trying to, discourage them because of the current situation, because they are now going to be the leaders, student leaders as well once they join. Before it was JAB, now it is CUSPS. It's quite hard to, say it in an abbreviation. So KUCCPS. First, what is that, and how will you inform students who want to make the application? What's the process like?
Thank you very much. KUCCPS is a body mandated to place students who have finished Form 4 to university. KUCCPS is Kenyatta Universities and Colleges student. Sorry. I bet I'm quite acquainted with Kenyatta, so
yes.
I have to say Kenyatta.
Kenyatta University Placement.
Kenya Universities and Colleges Placement Services. It's a government entity that places students to the various universities and TVETs programs in the nation. Currently, we have around 39 public universities, 28 private universities, 189 public colleges that are credited by the government. We have 27 ministry colleges and seven TVET universities, that is universities of science and technologies that are called TVET universities. KUCCPS is mandated to placing students in these universities to pursue their dream career. Currently, they are doing recruitment per se, or the students that did their Form 4 last year are able to apply because the portal is open for them to be placed in various universities. And I want to take them through the procedure because we are here to inform them so that they can come and join us in the universities that they wanted to come and study in.
Sure.
Now that the portal is open, the portal is students.kuccps.net. That is the website that they can go to apply to. That is student.kuccps.net. Immediately they Google that. It takes them to the website portal, and the first thing you see is you need to log in. And in the login portal, login page, you use your index number, KCSE index number, and the password. You either use your birth certificate number or your KCP index number, depending
KCP or KCSE.
You try either, depending on what was used to register you. And one of the two has to work. After you log in, the next page takes you to is a place where you select your courses. It has the various programs that are offered by the universities and our colleges. And to state, anybody who got a C+ and above is eligible to apply in a university for course. And anybody who got a C+ and below can apply for a diploma. Those who got D can apply for certificate, and even those who got an E have a chance to apply for artisan courses in our various TVET institutions, and they will get government funding and also help if they apply in a public university or public TVET college.
So you're saying everyone who did the KCSE is eligible for further education?
Yes. That is one thing that was tried. It was implemented by the previous government, and the current government is continuing to ensure that we have everybody educated. We are currently explaining about the application process, and we are at the selection of courses. That it gives you a basket that has the various university courses and TVET courses. You're supposed to note, assuming you want to pursue Bachelor's of Medicine. If you want to do at a degree level, you are supposed to check at it, see which universities are offering it, and note the course code, because that is what you are going to insert in the next process. For university, you are given a chance to select you have 6 chances to select. The first chance is you select a course and in various institutions. For instance, if it's Bachelor's of Medicine, you select a Bachelor's of Medicine, and you're going to pursue it is in various, you can select 3 universities, that is 1A, 1B, and 1C, and then any other courses, or even the same course in other universities. For the diploma, it's different. You only have 4 chances. You can select a course and put it in, assuming it's diploma in engineering, you can select diploma in engineering in Meru University, in Meru National Polytechnic, and then go select the same course in a different university or a different course in a different college. That is for the diploma, certificate, and artisan students. After doing that, you are taken immediately to the next page after selecting the courses and inserting their codes that tells you to verify so that you can counter check and for the errors. The next step after counter checking is payments. You're supposed to pay 1,500 to the pay bill that is indicated.
1,500 is the
application fee.
Okay.
And if you go to cyber, don't send it to the cyber guy. There is a pay bill that is displayed on this, actually in the screen. You pay and you use your account numbers, the year of the year you did the KCSE and the index number of the KCSE.
Okay.
It's also displayed in that screen. And you, after paying, you are going to insert the message that is going to come to complete the process for application.
All right.
Maybe briefly we can talk about, depending on the grade you got, which is the best course for you.
Right, and we're going to get to that in a bit. This payment, does it happen also because I know there's usually a revision?
Yeah.
Revision of your choices after the first selection process. Do you still get to pay it after?
For those who were lucky enough to have selected courses when they were in university, they paid 500. So when they are doing a revision, they are going to pay 1,000.
Okay.
For those who are new applicants, they are going to pay 1,500 for the entire process. So it depends with the whatever you are doing. If you are doing first time application, you are charged 1,500. But if you had applied when you were in high school, the institution applied for you, you are going to do a revision at 1,000 because you had paid 500 when you are applying.
Okay, that's actually the information you're getting down, the calculation of the various fees for you to take a note of. Now, let's get to that career talk, yeah? I'm there, I'm on the portal, I'm trying to get myself a course in one of the prestigious universities, TVETs, and other institutions within the Republic. Is there a way to make an informed decision, really? Is there a way to know, exactly what someone wants, given that they're straight out of high school? How would you advise them to go around that selection process?
The selection process is very simple, but it needs you to be very informed so that you don't make a decision that you are going to regret your entire life, because the course you pursue is going to have a very great impact in your life after university.
Okay.
If you are going to get to be employed, you are going to seek employment in regards to what you pursued. So it is very great for students to do research in what they want to do, to pursue. I would advise, now that I always say that the course you pursue is like marriage. It's like you're getting to marry, you're going to marry that course, you're going to live with that decision. So make a very informed decision. And for you to make that informed decision, you need to do research and also follow your heart desire. Probably you are advised that go pursue a course that is high paying, but you may find that, yes, it's high paying, but you're not enjoying what you're doing.
Right.
For any student who did his
and that's a tragedy.
And that is a tragedy. And double tragedy is you have money, but you're not enjoying.
You're suffering.
You're suffering. I would advise any case student who is going to apply to do background check. Also in the portal, we have places where you can check, download all the programs, look at what you got, the course requirements, so that you can make an informed decision. It is in the download sector where you can be able to get all those courses. And the good thing with the new portal, it has even the price of each individual course.
Okay.
It has, if it's Bachelor's of Education, it has the university that is being offers that course and the cost. Secondly, before you make that informed decision, know that if I influence you to choose a course, remember that after that, if I'm able to influence you to choose a certain course just because I want you to pursue it, I'm not the one who is going to help you to work or do the actual activities that comes with that course. So follow your heart desires and see what best suits you. Probably, as you follow your heart desire, you may find that you were not able to get the dream course that you wanted to do. Probably you wanted to do medicine, but your clusters does not allow you to do that. The next advice is, now look in the field of medicine, what else can accommodate you? You don't have to do bachelors of medicine, you can do nursing. It's in the same field, public health. Something related to your dreams, your aspiration. Because at the end of the day, it is you who is going to look for that job. It is you who is going to do the employment, and it's you who is going to study. And if you are not well acquainted with that area, if you are not in love with it, you are going to suffer a lot as you pursue and also implement what you pursued.
What did you pursue yourself? Let's get a bit personal there.
Thank you very much. I did bachelor's of science. My first diploma was diploma in civil engineering at Meru National Polytechnic. I knew my parents wanted me to pursue political science because I was too political since I was young.
You still are.
But I did my calculations and said, yes, that is what I'm political. But at the end of the day, I also need to earn a living outside politics. I have a life as a reader, and then I have a life as an engineer. I've finished pursuing my diploma. I'm yet to graduate, but I'll be graduating soon. I'll be certified technician, as anyone who graduates with a diploma is a technician. And I'm proud for that. At the same time, I'm also enrolling in a university program, following my heart desire. If I had listened to my parents, probably I would have
had a very difficult time.
Yes, because politics comes naturally to some of us. If you are a musician, you don't need to you are good at doing music in school. You don't need to pursue music as a course because that is in you. You only need to have people who have done that to guide you and then pursue your dream course. That is what I will advise others.
All right, that is great. Remember now also more information is that CUSPs, the officers from KUCCPS, will be offering various services to aid students in the application process. And this is also happening it happened yesterday, the 22nd of May. It will also be there May 30th, which should be next week on Tuesday, the 2023. So from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., you can visit them at various universities. They'll take you through the application process. They'll give you information, clarification on the new funding method, as we've heard there from Kimani. They also guide you on career and also some mentorship. They'll be there in various universities. As you can see on the screen there, a couple of them from Pwani all the way to Kwale, to Baringo, to Turkana Turkana University, actually, and even in Huduma centers. So you can find them at Huduma centers next week on Tuesday if you're a Form 4 leaver and you get more information. That is it on the application to universities. And in Kenyatta University, there's a career week that is also happening for Form 4 leavers from yesterday, the May 22nd, to June 2nd. You can see there on your screen. It happens from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Come through. Applicants who are interested in courses can get to access Kenyatta University grounds, take a look around the campus, see what you like, and then, get to make a decision and see if you want to come to the great Kenyatta University. Mahali elimu ni nguvu. Ama namna gani?
Namna hiyo, elimu ni nguvu. Na pia ni chuo kikuu kichema. And I would advise those who want to pursue various courses that are here, come, have the tranquility, and also study the best courses that are around.
Right, and be around Kenyatta University and get to meet the likes of us. And if you want to pursue this line of work, it will be interesting. All right, now, you were there at the NDC yesterday. I think we have to talk about that. How was it for you, and what was the atmosphere like?
Yesterday, Jubilee original or Jubilee series.
There's an original and
there's a copycat.
Yeah,
did the NDC that was presided over by their party leader, who is the former president of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The delegates came to ratify various changes in the leadership, and we were joined by, right after the NDC, we also had a plenary section with the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka. KANU also had sent their SecGen and other leaders, and the NDC was good.
Jubilee is still part of Azimio.
Yes.
Stronger than before. You know, there was a conversation that after the election loss, Jubilee was trying to, but it was just a few errant members.
I will say it, not errant, I will say they are retro foxes, as the bishop called them yesterday, that are trying to look for breathing space in the political arena, and they are forgetting that we are not in a dictatorial world, we're in a democracy where if you feel not contented with the party leadership structures, the constitution, and also the policies, you can leave at will. And even the elected members, we are advising them that those who are not comfortable with Azimio, we are not a dictatorial party. You can leave at will, but remember that there is a catch. You have to go for a by-election, and probably the candidate who you fought in UDA and won will also be fighting for you in their primaries. And you can tell us if you have delivered, probably the Panjiko will have a say in that.
Yes, I want my producers and directors to see if they can prepare us the cartoon that is there in the middle of the cartoon of the day here by Dula on the Daily Nation. It's interesting because it's a response to Uhuru Kenyatta his participation in politics even after retirement. But I want to read his quote, which is there at the front of the Daily Nation, from the remarks that he gave yesterday. I wanted to leave politics and deal with other issues and had hoped to relinquish my position in such an NDC, but some people have decided to issue threats and use violence against us. Today, I want to tell them to look for someone else to intimidate, not Uhuru wa Kenyatta. Even had to include the Kikuyu connotation of names, yeah? Uhuru wa Kenyatta, yeah? You know that, that's how you know things are, yeah? That's how you know things are serious there. There's a party cleanup, a faction of them led by nominated Member of Parliament Sabina Chege and Iala Member of Parliament Kanini Kega. They were thrown out, but I saw remarks later on them saying that, you know, this is illegitimate. Whatever pronunciations that Uhuru Kenyatta has done to these ousted politicians, these are illegitimate, and it's just another political rally. Do you think that's just another political rally?
I think my good friend Kanini Kega and Sabina, who you have worked with closely in, during the campaign time, are misguided. We had an issue that made us go to dispute resolution mechanism. They took us to court. They were told, no. The party guarantees that if there is a dispute, you should go to dispute resolution mechanism. And we went to dispute resolution mechanism. That is under the office of the Registrar of Political Party. And we were able to resolve our differences. And a few recommendations were set. They did not agree with it. Instead of rushing to the courts, they rushed to the media. And I think they are misguided. All they are both, because they are not talking on their own behalf. They are talking on behalf of the government, because the government is keen.
So you feel like they are affiliated to the government of the day?
I don't feel like that. I'm seeing that. That is the reality. And everybody who has eyes, everybody who has ears can see that whenever they attend, even in meetings that the government is, they are talking the UDA agenda. The last NDC that was done in Bomas last year, we ratified and said that anybody who talks or promotes the ideology of another party is deemed to have sinned since to be a member after that declaration. They have made various declarations, and they were in that NDC. So the declaration they have made after they joined the government have deemed them to cease to be members of the Jubilee. But also there was something else that I would also like to capture before we go to the cartoon. One of our own friend who we have been here with, who said was nominated as the new Jubilee party leader. I want to congratulate him, Bwana Faris Jane.
Jubilee Youth Party, Jubilee Youth
winger
leader.
He will also be sitting at the executive wing of the Jubilee.
Congratulations to him, I guess.
And also, I know that we also have Jubilee itself is trying to rebrand itself. It has a face of the youth. Pauline Njoroge was also nominated to be the Deputy Secretary General and also a NEC member. And you see, a party that does not believe in youth is a party that is failing. We are told that the opponent's party, it believes in youth, the bottom up, Mama Wanjiko, Wanjiko, that is, Mama Mboga, and Vijana. But immediately they got into power, we saw Mama Mboga Musalia Mudavadi being nominated as the...
Yeah, we saw Boda Rider.
We saw Boda Rider, Ababu Namwamba, being given
a job.
And it's very funny that these people who are fighting so much Uhuru are the same people that he was raised.
Let's now that you've mentioned Uhuru Kenyatta, let's see the cartoon of the Daily Nation. I want to hear your interpretation. What is happening on this screen? I see a caricature of President William Ruto, former President Uhuru Kenyatta. I think that behind him is that has to be Kanini Kega, no?
Yes, Kanini Kega on Ruto's back, and then
Sabina Chege. This is what makes you say that indeed it doesn't look like it is actually what you're saying is happening. They are with the government.
Yes, these Kanini Kega, as depicted in the cartoon, and Sabina are the new government spokesperson. If you have observed, the government, the position of the official spokesman has not been filled. And we have seen in the near past, they have been speaking on behalf of the government. So part of our Jubilee membership have been given, employed by the government to be their spokesperson. Also in the cartoon, we see something that they are calling about retirement. That is during the elections, as he goes to retirement, and he went silent. You cannot see him there. But then the government is trying to tarnish his name and bringing him back to politics. He had promised that he was going to give the sword, and he did that in Bodre, right? Sasita mchana akapatiana uswodi, and the government. We had a smooth transition of power. But since then, the government, led by Ruto and Rigiji, have been dragging him back to politics. And he had to come full force. He is back. Simba ameguruma. Na tutajua kwamba wamesikia.
Right, you can read more of these stories on the Daily Nation, the Standard, and the Business Daily. We couldn't go through most of them, but that's what we had on the highlight because Kimani was there yesterday at the NDC. More developments, please bring us the new youth leader of our Jubilee. We'll love to have him again now that he's elevated a little bit so that we can have more conversations.
We are going to ensure that he comes here and talk to the youths,
right,
and tell them why they need to subscribe to Jubilee as a party, and also why Jubilee has a good agenda for the youths.
Okay.
And also he's the chairman of MKUSA, and I'm seeing that MKUSA is now becoming bigger than Kanu.
All right. Let's get to some business questions here. We've played this game with you before, and you lost thoroughly. I just have to say it again. Prepare for another battering.
Last time we tied.
Yeah? Oh, we did?
We did tie.
You copied. So let me just try and hide this time. Let's go. Question number 1. What is the term used to describe the difference between a company's assets and its liabilities? Let's go. All right, question number 2. Let's go to the second question, which is, which country is the world's largest producer of oil? Which country is the world's largest producer of oil? All right, question number 3. What is the largest stock exchange in the world by market capitalization? What is the largest stock exchange in the world? Let me know, man.
we know the script.
Which company is the world's largest producer of smartphones? All right. What is the largest national park in Kenya? Question number 6, which city is known as the financial hub of East Africa? All right. Question number 7, which East African country has the highest population?
Oh, then East or Eastern?
East. East African nation, yes. Which East African country is known for its vast reserves of natural resources, including oil, gas, and minerals? Where? Question number 9, which country is often referred to as the giant of Africa due to its large population and economy? Where? All right, question number 10, the last one. Which African country is known for its diamond mining industry? Hey, leo nisipopata 0 ama 1. Let's go. Hey, time is up. Wewe, wacha. Hii yenye umevuta hii atu nini? Atumark. Answers, let's go. Question number 1 was the difference between a company's assets and liabilities. What is the term? Here I have pass. Equity. The answer is equity. I wrote profits and losses. All right.
A big X.
All right. Question number 2, being which country is the world's largest producer of oil? I see here the United States of America. That's correct. Not Saudi Arabia.
No,
Come on.
United, it's Saudi Arabia.
Come on. We'll be going for peacekeeping missions in the US soon. Question number 3, what is the largest stock exchange in the world by market capitalization? You passed that one. It's the New York Stock Exchange. I wrote the London Stock Exchange. Things are not looking good for me today so far. Question number 4, what is the largest producer of smartphones? Samsung, yes? Yes, please, mark my friend.
iPhone.
Bugu waza ikupe X. Question number 5, what is the largest national park in Kenya? Masai Mara? Savo. Tumeuma nje sisi wote wawili. Jeez. Which city is known as the financial hub of East Africa? Nairobi? No? Okay. All right. Question number 7, which East African country has the highest population? Ethiopia? Right.
Yeah, correct.
Nice. Which East African country is known for its vast reserves of natural resources, including oil, gas, and minerals? DRC? Tanzania? You had it at first, bro.
But East and Eastern, there is a confusion between Eastern. If you do go Eastern, then DRC
it goes DRC. But it's East African, so it's Tanzania. Tumeuma nje sote tumeandika DRC. Which country is often referred to as the giant of Africa due to its large population and economy? Nigeria? Yes, has to be Nigeria. The giant of Africa, Nigeria. Yes. Question number 10, which African country is known for its diamond mining industry? South Africa? Botswana. Oh,
we all got.
Oh no. So,
but it's funny because the biggest diamond was found in South Africa that it was taken to, that is an uncut diamond.
Okay.
Yes.
So unfortunately, the diamond industry, the biggest one, has to be Tanzania. This guy. Nimekubeat leo. Hey, hata kama nilianza vibaya.
But bado hujafikisha your below average.
It's 4.5 for me and it's 3 for him. So I win again.
But you see, you will have given me a half because of the
Tanzania. So 3.5. Okay, still I win.
Under.
Wanasema that the mono eye is the king of the blind. So, hata kama niko below average, I'm still winning, bro.
But you're not mono-eyed.
A win is a win. 4.5. Okay, amenipatia 0.5 sijui kwa nini. What's the 0.5 for?
These London Stock of Exchange, but it was not London,
it was New York. It's all right. I won still.
Was it New York or
it was New York.
actually you don't deserve the half, but because there is stock of exchange, because there is the word stock of exchange, you had an idea.
Okay. Anyway, thank you so much, Washira. I want us to do the norm, and I think by now you know what I did. Let's do that, and then I close up the show.
Thank you very much.
You can do your remark and then do the remark there.
Thank you very much. I would wish to tell those candidates that did their form for last year to continue applying. They have less than 16 days to apply, and to end the show by greeting the ACC Kiambu, Madam Cecilia. She's doing a noble job empowering the youth, and they say that Mark actually said that the nearer a man comes to calm mind, the closer he is to strength.
That's good.
The nearer a man comes to calm mind, the closer he is to strength.
Yes, the nearer a man is coming to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Thank you so much, Akimani. And also thank you so much everyone else who's tuned into the show since the beginning. This has been KUTV Rise Today, Biashara Tuesday edition. Next week on Tuesday, I'll be back here. But before that, you can get Monday Art and Culture with Karen Blessing. Interact with me on all social platforms. I go by the name Richard OKENYE, but you can find me on the handle at Richard_OKENYE. And I'll be right back with you for all those conversations that we'll have throughout the week. As I always say, if you want to have breakfast in bed, sleep in the kitchen. I'll see you.
USA, USB, nakachaja type C. Character, we may develop it back.